Up at 9 a.m., my brain and my body, they finally decide to meet. We come to the same conclusion as yesterday.
Hello everybody, January is over and February is here. Let's talk about the books I read in January and then get into what I hope I can read in February. First off, with the books I actually completed. In January, like always, I had a list of books that I wanted to read that were on my TBR, and then I had a list of books that I actually read. It's only slightly different, but yeah, I did sneak in Mistborn Era 2, and I hadn't actually planned for it. I mean, I sort of planned for it. I think I mentioned it in the last TBR, but it was not on my actual written schedule. The thing was, I just loved Mistborn Era 2 so much. Maybe it was an expectations thing because so many people have talked about how it's not as good as Era 1, or they didn't like the characters or the story as much, but whatever it was, it hit me out of nowhere and I loved it more than I can probably accurately describe. I just finished The Bands of Mourning, made a video review for that. Actually, there's a video review for each of the books in the series, but my review for Bands of Mourning is basically a giant gush because I absolutely loved it. I stated it in the review, but I will state it again. If you've heard too many negative things about that series that has kept you from reading it, Mistborn Era 2 is amazing. It's one of my favorite things in the Cosmere. It takes place 300 years after the events of the original Mistborn, so it's all different characters. It's the setting that's basically like Western as technology starts to, come into the world. It has guns. It still has Mistborn magic. It's a lot lighter toned in a lot of ways. There's a lot more humor. I started off this year with an amazing set of books in these, and I love them so much. I can't imagine them not being in the contention for favorite books that I read this year. Like, dang, seriously. Also, this month, I continued on with the Realm of the Elderling series by Robin Hobb. I was a massive fan of the Farseer trilogy. Unfortunately, the first book in this next set of trilogies is called Ship of Magic. It's the Live Ship Traders trilogy. This one didn't work for me quite as much. Since my review, I've talked to a lot of people that loved this book, and I got to discuss their feelings, what they thought worked better, and sort of the discrepancies that I had with what they enjoyed. And I realized that I'm in the minority there, but I had to just be honest. I'm still planning on continuing the series, but I was disappointed by Ship of Magic. Mainly, I never connected with the characters in a way where I felt like the bad things that they did, the choices that they made in their own lives that caused them problems. I never felt like those decisions were justified. So when everything was happening and a lot of characters were suffering from bad decisions, things that had both happened to them unfairly without their control and things that they had done sort of to themselves, I never accepted the things they'd done for themselves side made enough sense with the sort of facts that we had, and it made me struggle to sympathize with the characters. Like I said, I do plan on continuing with this series. My expectations have sort of been shifted, and I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about it at the end. I'm sure that I will enjoy it to some level, but mostly at this point, I'm looking forward to finishing this just so I can get back to, some of my favorite characters in the series. This month on Disney Plus, there was a new show connected to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The show is called Wandavision, and I am a huge fan of the MCU. I don't normally talk about movies or TV shows or anything on this channel, but I thought it would be fun to try to share my thoughts with you guys with WandaVision. And during that whole process, while researching sort of some of the backstory for that television show, I read some of the comics that people were saying sort of inspired maybe this idea. So I read both some of the Avengers Disassembled storyline as well as a storyline called House of M, and I had fun with both of these. I thought they were interesting. They informed the video that I will link up in the cards here, but basically my predictions video for what was going to happen in WandaVision. Ironically enough, we just got episode 3 of that show, and a ton of my predictions, I feel like pretty much most of my predictions that I made in the previous episode, so the episode talking about episode 3, I think we just got episode 4, I nailed it, and I feel good about it. I nailed it in a way that I don't normally nail it when I'm talking about television shows, especially speculative mystery, sort of these ones where everybody sort of gets around and theorizes. I felt good about the way that my predictions turned out, and I had a lot of fun going back and reading some comics. I enjoy comic books. I read Marvel comic books usually about once a year. I will get Marvel Unlimited and I will read a ton, try to catch up, try to read some classic stuff, and then I'll take a break. And that's normally how I flow with it. So it was nice to get back into Marvel and read some comic books. I liked that. I'll go ahead and share my thoughts on that last episode of WandaVision. I, one, thought it was cool that my predictions came true. Two, I thought it was cool the way that they, started explaining some of the things that were going on. Even though I had sort of guessed pretty much all of them. Originally, I was planning on trying to make a video for every single episode of that show and sort of follow it along and maybe try to continue along that, maybe try to ride some of that hype. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure after talking to people as well as looking at the realism of what happened on my channel, I think that channels that are meant to talk about that kind of thing are in a completely separate algorithm field than normal Booktube. And I realized by the reception that I got when I posted those videos, there was a significant amount of subscriber loss with basically each video that I posted, as well as the fact that the videos just didn't perform because YouTube had no idea how to come to grips with the fact that I was normally a book channel talking about this stuff. It didn't work out, so I'm probably not going to continue along with that. I apologize to anyone that sort of is here for that. I don't think there was any because I think I mostly just lost subscribers when I posted those. Nevertheless, if you do want to talk WandaVision with me, continue doing that. I'm planning on continuing to watch the show because I am enjoying it. And also, there is a channel in my Discord, which is linked down below, dedicated to WandaVision and discussing everything around that show there. Another book that I read this month was Winds of Strife by U.G. Gutman. That's a self-published author that I met basically on Instagram. I've been following the development of that book for some time because honestly, the cover, right? The cover is amazing. I'll put a picture of the cover up there. It's an awesome cover. And the premise of the book is that there's like a Sanderson-like magic system, only this one is focused on emotions. So different emotions, if you harness them, give you different powers with different drawbacks. I thought this was an interesting concept and an ambitious first go for a first-time author. This book seems to be getting a little bit of buzz in the circles that I run in. It's even picked for the self-published, like that's a self-published reading Discord buddy reading book club thing. It's happening later this year. People are going to be reading this book. Unfortunately, it didn't really work for me super hard. I had a really hard time caring about some of these characters, and they're intentionally not good. They're intentionally not good characters, but I didn't click with them on that level. There have been instances where I can get behind characters that I don't love, but it didn't click for me. But I do know other people that are reading it that enjoyed it more than I did, so I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that I did read this book this month. The last book that I read this month that I literally just finished is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. Rebecca is one of those books that Murphy Napier on her channel talks about nonstop as being one of her favorite books and now one of her favorite authors as she's starting to read through the rest of her bibliography. Rebecca is a 1938 domestic thriller, sort of, and I enjoyed it. I actually filmed a video review for that if the timing in my head is correct, will be coming out later on this week. So you can hear my full thoughts on that one. But basically, I enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite read, but I understand there's a lot of interesting merit there, a lot of discussion that can happen around it. And honestly, that was the end of my January reading. I was very happy with how it turned up. I had some higher and some lower books there, some disappointing books. I'm sorry, Ship of Magic and Ship of Magic fans. But dang, that Mistborn Era too, though. Now I want to talk about the books that I'm planning on reading in February this month. I think I'm posting this on February 1st, maybe 2nd. First off, for the third month running, I'm supposed to be buddy reading Jade War with Murphy Napier. We buddy read Jade City together. We talked about it, and we talked about how we were going to make a discussion video together talking about Jade War with spoilers and everything so we could get ready for the third book. For multiple different reasons for both of us, that book has just sort of shifted back a little bit. So we are supposed to be reading it first thing in February. Last time I talked to her. We'll see how that goes. It will get read this month, probably. The next book I want to talk about is The Secret Life of Addie, LaRue. This is a book by V.E. Schwab. There's a lot of people who love her work on the Bookternet here. I've never read any of her books, but I've heard a lot of interesting things about this one. A lot of positive, a lot of negative, not a lot in the middle, but I want to see where I fall. I'm super curious. I think it's a romance book involving some sort of Faustian deal where the protagonist lives forever, but nobody can remember her, something like that. That was the Patreon selected buddy read pick over on my Discord. If you'd like to be part of those, you could join my Patreon, which is linked down below. We vote on a book every single month to buddy read together, and that's the one we're reading for February. I'm looking forward to it, and I actually already own this one. It's very rare that we pick a book that I already own that I haven't read. Next up, Red Seas Under Red Skies, the sequel to The Lies of Locke Lamora. I feel like this series is loved by the people that have read it for the most part, but a lot of people still haven't read it. I read The Lies of Locke Lamora back in 2019, maybe? And I absolutely loved it, and I planned on reading Red Seas Under Red Skies, but I just never got around to it. I never scheduled it. Well, this last month, Casey from Lost in a Bookcase, whose channel I will link below. By the way, she's absolutely an amazing booktuber. You should go follow her. She's hilarious. She's also just a very nice person. Anyway, she loved The Lies of Locke Lamora so much. Like, she was sending me her messages as she was hitting different parts of the story, and I loved it so much. And I was like, oh, we have to buddy read the next one, because she was all about reading the next one right away. She loved the first one so much. I knew that I had done a disservice to myself by not reading it yet. I was like, I gotta buddy read that with you. And so we're gonna be buddy reading that This month, February. Next, I need to talk about something amazing that like just about brought tears to my eyes. It made me so happy and so thankful. One of my newer Booktube friends, Alan from the Library of Alexandria channel, which I will link down below, he decided that he was going to start running a book-themed Jeopardy game on his channel, and I just happened to be picked from a random selection to be involved in this first go of it on his channel. The other contestants on that show, Stephanie from Miss Richards Reads, who I will link down below, she is an awesome member of the book community, by the way. She's very active in a lot of book clubs and like live stream. Like, she's a wonderful person, very sweet and kind. She was one of the contestants, and also Evie from the channel, which I think just got changed to She Was Only Evie. I'd never had the pleasure of meeting Evie before, except a little bit in Discord. Anyway, we played Jeopardy. I got my butt absolutely handed to me. I got last place. That is not to say I didn't have a blast. I had so much fun. Honestly, I was starstruck by both Alan and the other contestants there, just like way out of my league. Alan, by the way, and I'm not kidding or being hyperbolic when I say this, he is like a rising Booktube star, and he is going to be one of those people that is like the top of Booktube in a very, very short amount of time. He's that good. He's wonderful. He's very kind. He cares about the community. He's very well read, and he is willing to read new things. He's hilarious. You should go check out Alan's channel. Anyway, the winner of that Jeopardy game was Evie. She absolutely killed it. She knew everything about everything basically that was on the board, and she smoked the other contestants by like thousands and thousands of points. I would be embarrassed, except that there's no shame in just losing to someone who's that good. Anyway, after the game, Evie messaged me and basically was like, hey, what's your email address that you use for your Kindle books? And I was like, oh, here's what it is. She was kind enough to be the second person here on Booktube who has sent me books. Right away, she sent me the book Senlin Ascends, which is a book I've been wanting to read for a very long time. It's one of Alan's favorite books. Heck, I heard about the book a while ago from the channel Rajathon, my friend Ramsey over there, but she sent this book to me and I was absolutely overwhelmed. The idea that there are people that I've met online that are kind enough to send a bookish experience to me, I'm so thank you, Evie. That was so kind, and it was wonderful, and my heart was filled with joy. I was like, I have to read this as soon as possible. I want to show my gratitude in any way that I can. That's why, unbeknownst to me, a couple days later, my wife tells me that a package showed up at our door. Not only did Evie send me Senlin Ascends, which was a Kindle book, she said she wanted to make sure that she sent me something physical as well. So she sent me this, which was on my wish list. And I'll talk about this book in a second, but the amount of kindness to send a stranger just a book that they want. We've never really met except for that game. I was just overwhelmed with gratitude. Once again, it was exciting. I was happy. The amount of kindness that people have shown me since starting this channel has already been surprising and overwhelming and encouraging to me. Like, there's a lot of bad things that are happening right now, but the genuine kind nature of the community at large, but especially of Evie. When I got this book, I keep saying I was overwhelmed. It made my heart so warm, because I wasn't expecting anything. Obviously, she didn't have to give me anything. The fact that she sent me not one, but two books, and like sharing books, it's just such a kind thing. You're sharing this wonderful experience. You've seen the way that I get excited about the books that I read here on this channel. It made me feel so happy and so appreciated. Thank you again, Evie, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much again. I want to talk about this book because this is a book I've been interested in for a while. So this book is called S, or sometimes Ship of Thesis. Let's see if I can get this to focus here. As you can tell, it has this binding that's supposed to make it look like a fake library book. This book is written by Doug Dorst and J.J. Abrams. Yes, the director J.J. Abrams. And it's one of those books that's supposed to be sort of a, I don't know if like multimedia experience. One dates me to like being the most 90s thing ever, but it's supposed to be like this, like, I don't know, all-encompassing experience where you're reading a book that is supposed to be like I think it's either annotated. You're reading a book that's been read by someone else, and there's a whole mystery surrounding it. It sort of reminds me of the concept of House of Leaves, but like another level. I think once this actually gets opened, there are different size like documents and things put in different pages. Like, it's a whole thing. I think there's notes and annotations and bookmarks and I don't know, all sorts of weird stuff. Honestly, I've tried to remain spoiler free about it because I didn't want to have it spoiled for me. But this is something that I am excited to talk about on the channel. I'm thinking about either trying to do like a longer vlog or maybe a series where I talk about my Ship of Theseus experience bit by bit. Basically, I'll film myself opening and trying to ingest the parts, my thoughts along the way, because I think it's going to be sort of that kind of thing. And I'm curious to see what that looks like, how it works. I want to share all my thoughts with you guys as I have them, sort of make that a different sort of experience on the channel. So thank you again, Evie, for that gift, both of those gifts. This is what I'm hoping to use them for on the channel. The final things that I have on my TBR this month are that I'm going to be trying to finish the wrap-up, cleanup stuff from the Cosmere. So I'm going to be trying to read Arcanum Unbounded and potentially even the White Sands graphic novels. Those shouldn't be a hard read for me. At that point, I will be fully caught up on the Cosmere. I might try to make some big Cosmere video. I don't know, for those Brandon Sanderson fans or for people that are interested potentially in reading Brandon Sanderson. Also, I just have random books on hold for my library that might come in. I believe the next Dresden book might get thrown into this month as well. This is all tentative. There's no way all of this will get done. And because I'm me, I might accidentally, you know, slip something else in that I'm feeling passionate about. Nevertheless, those are the things that I have planned to read this month. Do any of those things sound interesting to you? If you're still watching, what book from that list are you most excited to hear me talk about or make a video for? In addition to commenting, there is a link down below to a Discord, and I would love to have more conversations with you. I have been having so much fun just having random talks and chats and jokes with people from the Discord. If you'd like to support what I'm doing here, there's also a link down below to a Patreon, as well as a link to a merch store with some dumb t-shirts that I've made. I am looking forward to another awesome month of reading. I hope to see you guys again soon. I love you all so much. Bye.
Sleep, no one ever get enough. Always looking out tired. Sleep, no one ever get enough. If I don't show up, I might get fired. Sleep, no one ever get enough. Always looking out tired. Sleep, no one ever get enough. If I don't show up, I might get fired.